Trout Premier Series is here. My name is Ross McIntyre. I'm joined by Maxi Younger. How are you doing, Maxi?
I'm quite well, thank you.
That is great to hear. Now we are here at the Bahrain International Circuit, located in the Sakir Desert in Bahrain for the opening round of this season, and I'm sure that there will be plenty of action in store for us tonight. 5.4 kilometers and 15 corners of high-speed flowing tarmac provides plenty of overtaking opportunities around here, especially into the heavy braking zones at turns 1 and 4. However, there are 4 long straights, 3 of which have DRS zones, so you'll certainly see places being exchanged there as well. First up tonight is the Challenger Split, with the race kicking off at 7:05 UTC, followed by the Master Split at 8:45 UTC. Both splits running the exact same format in terms of session length, points as per usual. So there's plenty to watch here tonight on the Formula Trout Twitch channel, and there'll be plenty to look out for in the future as well, as this is only round 1 out of 12, and throughout the year we'll be heading to infamous locations such as Silverstone, Monaco, Suzuka, and many more. And don't forget, we've got the Formula Trout Sprint Series coming as well, so keep your eyes peeled. Lots to come up as we see the cars start their first qualifying laps with about 16 minutes remaining in the session. Let's stick with Max Semenyuk, and he turns to the first corner. Bit of a lock up there on the inside. That's not really ideal. I don't think you'll be seeing the cars running too soft of the compound, because the track temperature is ludicrously high today, to the point where I'm not even sure that the softest compounds will make a qualifying lap, let alone the race start. And obviously the top 10 have to start on the tyre compound that they qualified on. So you may actually be seeing a few drivers trying to perhaps, especially at the top of the grid, perhaps trying to stick in a qualifying lap on the slower compounds of tyres. Perhaps they start a little bit further back on the grid, but they will then have that advantage over the race. They don't have to pit within the first few laps. They can take the tyres longer, and they can have more aggressive strategy here at Bahrain. Max Semenyuk coming into the super quick sector 3, keeps it super tidy through the left-hander, up through the right-hander now, and now on his way, braking into the penultimate corner, round again. The first lap time is a 1:45 dead. I think that might have just been an outlap, because that is not a representative time at all. Semenyuk now coming round through the last corner again, looking pretty steady away out there. It's not a ridiculously fast time from Max here as he comes to the line. It's a second place, 1:31.1. That's not a very, very quick lap time for the MP Racing line, it must be said, but it is only the start of the session, so we'll have to see what happens. His Mustafa Muradi was currently on pole, and Dmitry Kamyshov, who sticks it P3 with a P2 should I say, with a 29.7. Our timing screen's failing to update a little bit in the corner. Here's Mike Thompson for Griffin Gaming Red, one of the older teams on the grid in the Challenger Series. In fact, all of the teams here are new, apart from Griffin Gaming Red and Horizon Racing Team. Kart Republic Koenigsegg and Dimbob Racing both competed in a few races last season, not the whole season. So all the other teams are new, apart from TC Esports as well, who actually missed out on the championship and the promotion to the Master Split by a few tenths of a second through RGB Sim Racing last season. So that's they'll be definitely hungry to continue that fight this year. And on the subject of fighting, who are the drivers who are expecting to see at the front of the grid this year? Well, the man who's currently on provisional pole, Toby Sanford, definitely one to keep an eye on. A very quick driver, just come off a very successful season in the Formula 2 World Championship over at Ace Racing League, and I'm sure he's now looking to make his impact in the Formula Hybrid, a car that I know he prefers as well. Gustavo Dalla Valle is another very quick driver to keep an eye on. Muradi as well, who's currently in P2. Again, lots and lots of very quick drivers on this grid in the Challenger Series, and we'll just have to see what happens as the season unfolds over these 12 rounds. Let's follow around now at Giovanni Amorim as he heads up on his qualifying lap, and coming up now into T4. A lot of time can be gained through here if you get the line right. Looks to be taking it very slowly, however, so that would tell me that he's on an in lap. Bertin Lutos, however, is not in the Griffin Gaming red car as he turns into that tricky haircut, and now another tricky corner follows. It is the downhill at turn 10 through turn 9. Brake as gently as you dare. Try not to lock the inside wheel. Bounce over the curves, back on the throttle. Pretty pulling through there from Mr. Lutos. currently residing in a P9 overall, but we'll have to see what happens. Toby Sanford currently holds provisional pole by 7.5 tenths. That's quite a gap. We'll just have to see how that changes as the session wears on, though. As I mentioned earlier, it's very warm out. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of drivers running the harder compounds in the qualifying day just for the sake of getting that little bit further in the race. It's a 45-degree track temperature, which is absolutely scorching the last time I checked. Lutels turns into the last corner, again, not really pushing, and he's coming into the pits as it is. So into the pits with 11 minutes and 50 seconds to go on the clock. We won't be seeing the thermal time for a long way, and there was our poleman briefly, Toby Sanford. Yeah, we won't be seeing it pushing right away as Agnes Rositis on what appears to be the harder compound of tyres. He's currently sitting in P2 for TC Esports car team, apologies. And again, as you can see there, 7.5 tenths to Sanford, but he is on a harder compound of tyres, so that perhaps could not be quite playing in Sanford's favour. Yeah, he gets pole position by quite some way as Rositis runs quite off the track to get out of the way of Nelly spins. I mean, you can see there Toby Sanford very much on the soft compound tyre there. So he's going to be lapping a lot quicker, but he's not going to last into the race. So maybe he's got a trick up his sleeve in regards to the strategy. I believe he's on an outlap at the moment as he heads down the not quite the back straight, the second back straight, as I like to refer to it as. And coming now through the left-hander onto the right-hander. Again, a lot of time being gained and lost through this section as Moradi takes pole by 6.5 tenths. Wow, what a lap from him. Let's see if Sanford can do anything as he comes through onto the penultimate corner and the start of his flying lap. Coming through now, hard braking, through he comes, off he goes. Let's follow him around for this lap, shall we? Toby Sanford, I'm sure we're pushing very, very hard. All the way down the main straight, DRS wide open into the first corner. Braking super late there, about 100 metres, and then back out, keeps it in second gear, and back on his way again now, up through the gears onto the back straight, or again, not the back straight, one of the many back straights here, braking late again into the right-hander, and away out of turn 4. Now this twisty section, as I like to call it, through 6 and 7 into the hairpin at 8, keeps it in 6th gear on the run down, brakes, hairpin's entry, keeps it in 2nd gear through there as well. He's taking a very conservative line, especially in terms of his gearing. He's not running 1st gear, he doesn't want to have that car spin out on him. 2nd gear again through the downhill turn 10, running a little bit wider than others we've been seeing today. Onto the back straight though, DRS wide open, I'm sure ERS on maximum delivery, keeps it in 7th gear, 307 kilometers an hour there I saw on our speed dial. Heads through 11 and 12 into turn 13, penultimate, not the penultimate, it is the penultimate corner even. Again, a lot of time can be lost through here. This circuit it's relatively simple in terms of running it, but truly master it is supremely difficult. The lines need to be so precise. Holding it in 7th gear once again down into turn 14 and 15 on the front straight. Let's see what Toby Sanford can do on the run to the line. Will it be pole position? Yes, it is by 4 tenths of a second. It was Toby Sanford onto provisional pole with 8 minutes and 50 seconds to go. 1 minute 27.5. A very, very strong lap there from Sanford, especially with the heat. I'm not sure if Muradi is running the soft tyres. I presume he was, given the gap between himself and Kamishov. So again, we'll just have to see him. Yet we can see there Mustafa Muradi running the soft of compound tyres. So that's definitely something to watch out for. Those front row pair on a softer compound than the others. So they'll be shooting off over the first lap of the race. And then won't really be doing much else. It's going to have to be a very early pit stop for them. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens in terms of strategy, as it could get a bit interesting, I will say. I won't go any further than that. Muradi turning in to turn 10. He is on an outlap, as you can tell. As by this point he'd be coming around the last corner. Going past there, the poleman Toby Sanford on the left. And now coming up through the left and right handers of 11 and 12 into 13. Again, try and keep it straight on the entry. It's a lot of an earlier turn than you think it is. You've got to carry as much speed as you can through the entry of the corner. So otherwise, you're just really going to compromise yourself on the straight. It's a deceivingly late yet relatively early apex. Very tricky corner indeed is 13. But onto a flying lap now goes Mustafa Moradi. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if he can have a shot back at Toby Sanford. Flying down the main straight, 320 kilometers an hour. I saw there on the speed dial, well over 200 miles an hour for anybody who drives on the left-hand side of the road. Coming up now onto the second straight. It's got a good run out of turns 1 and 2 into turn 4. Just narrowly misses the curb. Not sure if that was on purpose or not. Did seem to turn like in a little bit late. Again, not downshifting into 5 and 6. That's interesting to see through there, and holding 6th gear then on the way into 8. Now on the run to 9 and 10. Let's see how late he can be on the brakes. Again, holding 6th gear. He wants a wider line as Sanford, and but a tighter line into turn 10, and he managed to avoid locking up as well. So very quickly there is Mustafa Moradi, as he now thunders down into turn 11. On the throttle as early as he dares, tried to not let the car slip out under you. Doesn't run that wide out on the entry to turn 11, or 12 should I say. Braking now into 13, running the curb. Very aggressive lines onto the penultimate straight. Just one corner to go. Let's see how he does. Mustafa Moradi braking as late as he dares into the final corner. Is it going to be better than Sanford's 27.5? Let's see what he can do. Coming to the line now, Mustafa Moradi. It's a 27.1. Wow, what a lap. Mustafa Moradi. But Sanford again, back out of the pits. Let's see what he can do in this tantalising battle for pole position. There's 5 minutes and 40 left on the clock. Sanford now coming down the penultimate stretch in the Volpino Arctico, number 40. Turning through the, or should I say, turning through the last corners. And now the pendulum swings in his direction. Let's see what he can do. These two drivers locked into battle for the only 2 drivers running on the soft compound tyres. They've committed now. They can't go any faster on the mediums. They are starting the race on this compound, so they may as well try and fight for positions. There's a wider line through turn 1 from Sanford. I think he may have just got on the brakes a little bit too late. Managed not to lock up said brakes though. Now on the run up to turn 4, holding 7th gear. Sanford does like to hold his gears, it appears. He a very interesting shifting patterns. He doesn't often shift up late into corners, and also often likes to hold a higher gear through corners. I'm not sure if he just prefers to avoid shifting, if he thinks it can give him the momentum. I'll have to ask him sometime. Now coming on the run down to turn 9 and 10. Again holding 6th gear and taking that wider line that he has seen Moradi do. And Moradi's obviously got 4/10 on him at the moment, so he believes that he can perhaps benefit from watching his onboards, all that line. Coming into turn 11 now, runs it a lot wider than Moradi onto the curbs as well, brings it in a lot tighter as well for the exits, so you can get a better run into turn 12. Now turn 13, a little bit too wide through there, hopefully not costing too much time, perhaps scrub the front end of it into the penultimate or the final corner. Let's see what he can do coming through 14 and 15. Again holding 7th gear is Sanford. It's very strange that he does that, but he's the one who's fighting for pole position here.
Looking at the delta, he might have this.
And as Max said, looking at the delta, he might have it, and he does have it. Wow! 1/10 of a second separate.
That is really close.
That is super close. Great lap there from Sanford. We've got 3 minutes to go, however. Both these drivers can still get another lap out of this, so we'll have to see what can happen. And Moradi is on an out lap.
Currently an out lap.
Yep, an out lap.
Sanford as well, a cooldown.
Sure
There is
dive into the pits for a fresh set of rubber in a minute.
there's no resetting to pits, so they will have to do the whole in lap, which can lose them a bit of time, but they should have just enough to do another quick lap.
Yep, Sanford is cutting it very tight, but I believe he should have the time. Oh, and there's a very close between those two as they dive into the pits. I believe that was
That's quite a
Carbon.
pit entry there.
Giovanni Amorim, yeah, just on the I guess one of the drivers hit the brakes and the other didn't. Here's Dalla Valle, who has now gone out on the soft, so he's had enough of the harder compounds. He wants that pole position. Very quick driver is Dalla Valle in the Rising Sun Racing car.
Currently looks an out lap as well, looking at the deltas, second off.
Yep, so he is on an out lap, as it seems everyone's trying to set those last minute laps. Here's Moradi coming now onto the final straight. I believe he'll just be waiting to let that car ahead go away. Sanford will be coming into the pits here for the possibly the fastest tyre change in the history of Formula Trout. I'm sure he'll be wanting to head straight back out there. I think he knows there's still time on the table for certain. Just have to see what he can do. We'll be seeing every driver dive back out. Moradi, what will be his final lap? Here he goes. Let's see what he can do. As he heads into turn 1, onto the brakes. Yeah, very tight line through there. Looks like he's kept him holding a lot of speed though. And he now bombs on the run up to turn 4. Super late on the brakes, doesn't clip the curb. Takes the exit curve though, perhaps unsettling the car a little bit, killing a little bit of momentum. Much better line through those corners from Moradi that time around. Braking into the hairpin. Now throttle down gently on the run to 9 and 10. Let's see how late on the brakes he can get. There's a spin in front of him. It's Carter Jackson.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
He's still up.
Oh,
He's still up.
dear.
He can finish the lap.
He can still finish the lap, but I'm sure that's going to cost him time. He did have to get on the brakes there. That's an absolute disaster for Moradi, who Carter Jackson, I think, just didn't see him coming in the rising sun car and just got back on the throttle. Nothing Moradi could do. Absolute disaster there for him. But that is racing, I suppose. Let's see if he can beat Sanford. Coming into the final corner now. Moradi's going to need a hell of a final corner. I think he's going to get this. On the run to the line now.
He does improve.
And he does improve. So a very strong lap there from Moradi despite that. But Sanford again on a lap, and Moradi did have, or he's not on a lap, he's on a lap.
No, he's just about to start. As Agnes Rositi's just there in front, about to start his from 3rd place.
So it's all to play for now. Lots of drivers jumping onto the soft compound of tyres very late into qualifying. This is going to be the final push lap from Toby Sanford. Got a 10th.5 to make up. Let's follow him round and see if he can do it. On the run down to turn 1, hard on the brakes just after the 100-metre boards. It's a much better line through turn 1 from Sanford this time round. Bouncing over the turn 2 curbs and again running the turn 3 curb as well. On the run to 4, uphill, shifting the brake bias, hard on the brakes, try not to lock up, gets it a lot tighter in on the exit as well. This is a very tidy lap from Sanford already. Very, very clean. Running through 6 and 7, and there's a car spearing off into the barriers over on the right. Not sure who that was. Apologies for that. Coming on the run now to turn 9 and 10. How late can you dare to get on the brakes? Doesn't lock up, nice and tight, just clip the curb, lovely through there. Bit of oversteer on the exit, just got the power down a bit too hard, but it's very tidy from Sanford at the moment. Let's see if he can perhaps get any better as he heads through the final sector now. Again, pulling out really wide for that exit of turn 11 and getting the entry for turn 12 super spot on. Turn 13 again, super quick through there. Now 1 corner to go. Let's see what Sanford could do. Coming through the final corner now. He's a lone soldier this race. His teammate is out due to an illness. Let's see what Sanford can do. Can he get pole position? No, Sanford does not improve on that lap. So that looks like it's going to be it unless someone was on a lap. Let's see if anyone else is on a lap. Nope, it appears that that will be your grid for today. And it does indeed, unless Keys Willems has got anything left in the bag. Most of the drivers pulling into the pits, so it looks like it's going to be Moradi on pole. Sanford lining up in P2 and Moore in P3. Agnes Rositis in P4. Kamishov in P5. Aronov in P6 and Dalla Valle in P7. Well, that was a very intense qualifying session. What do you think about that, Maxi?
The new guys seem to have toppled some of the more regular drivers in the Challenger split from last season. So yeah, quite an interesting qualifying. Very close for pole, of course. 1.5 tenths. So yeah, the race is gonna be interesting since there's a lot of overtaking opportunities. There should be some battles.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what unfolds. 37 laps here at the Bahrain International Circuit. Obviously, however, the top 10 do have to start the race on the tyres that they qualified on. So we'll be seeing Sanford and Maradi on a softer compound than enough. So the first lap, they will definitely be shooting off into the distance. But then they'll probably have to pit almost immediately. So that's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. Just not long till the race. 1 minute and 55 seconds as the cars line up on the grid for the first race in the Challenger split of the Formula Trout Premier Series. Just now waiting, Mustafa Moradi on the pole. Toby Sanford lining up alongside him there on the front row.
Interesting
1 minute and 30 seconds to go.
what fifth place driver can do there. I see he's shot with mediums right now, so
Yeah, so Kamyshov's on the medium, so that's yeah, as you said, definitely something to watch out for there.
Agnes Rositas as well on different compound.
So there's definitely some mix up in the top end, and some drivers not you'd expect to see them. At Gustavo Dalla Valle, I would be expecting to see well up the order, and he's all the way down in P7, and he was on the soft tyres. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out. 16 cars on the grid today. Obviously, as I previously mentioned, several missing out due to illness in one case, and in others just not completing the required laps. So it's unfortunate for them, but we'll just have to see what happens here at Bahrain. 40 seconds to go until the start of the race. 37 laps here, and it should be an absolute cracker as we just wait for the countdown on board here with Sanford on the grid. It's a very lonely time when you're waiting for those 6 lights in a set of course to come on. Just waiting now. Dmitry Kamyshov in P5 on the on a different compound. Here's the pole sitter Maradi, and the lights are now appearing. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, 6 red lights. And we are underway for round 1 of the Challenger splits in Formula Trout. Looks like Maradi gets way over Toby Sanford again, pulling into the slipstream. Maradi cuts across, Toby Sanford to the outside. Let's see who's going to have the advantage. There was contact between the two who are on the front row. Maradi seems to get away the better of the pair. Sanford still manages to hold P2. Apart from that, all clean through the first few corners. Sanford still chasing Maradi on the run down to turn 3. Let's see what happens. Here's Amorim. He looks like he's managed to get a place. Mizutis again on those medium or hard tyres, shall I say. Done really well to get us up to P4. So as it stands, Moradi still P1, Sanford P2, Amorim P3, and Mizutis P4. Kamyshov up to P5 as we just see our broadcast car head back to the pits. And here is Kolomodin, who's currently in last place, and there's people starting all over the place. There's Bertin Lutos, who appears to have had a bit of a half spin coming out of turn 8 there. Here's Amorim chasing down Sanford, trying to spin through these corners. I have definitely before in the dirty air. It's super tricky to keep the car stable. Coming out into the last corner, looks like the action stations and holding places. As we finish the first lap, Moradi leads, heading into the final corner. Sanford P2, Amorim P3, Mizutis P4, and Kamyshov P5. The question is though, how long do those soft compound tyres last? Because it's super hot track temperature. It's a track that is very aggressive on the tyre wear with the high speed corners. So we just got to see who bites the bullet first out of the lead 2 cars, who switches onto the harder compounds. Obviously, 1 mandatory pit stop here in Formula Trout. You have to switch compounds as well. Refueling is banned. So that's definitely something to watch out for. I don't think there will be any one set of tyres that can make it to the end of the race, but certainly see strategy coming into play here if Sanford thinks he doesn't have the pace to overtake Moradi. Here's Carter Jackson for P10 on Semeniuk. Round the outside of turn 4. If you can get that move done, that'd be impressive. There's a spin there. It's Willems. Round he goes, but he gets promoted to P10 anyway. This Jackson doesn't quite manage. And there is Keys Willems down in P14. Disaster for him. In the Lioneers Racing, number 37, Toby Sanford running very wide out of turn 10. And now he's going to come under pressure from Amorim as they head down the back straight. No DRS just yet. Next lap it will be activated as they head through. Giovanni Amorim in the 32 Bag Motorsports car. flying through the final sector now. Into penultimate corner again, super tricky. Sanford again running wide. I think he might have really pushed those tyres too hard trying to chase Muradi. You know, it's very early on in the race, so it's crucial to see how long they can get these soft tyres to last. These top three all on the softs. Anyone diving to the pits yet? No. We're going to go another lap on these softs. So what do you take of that race start, Maxi?
Yeah, quite a busy race start. It's going to be interesting to see how the tires last, of course. From personal experience, we've done testing. They should last anywhere between 10 to 15 laps. It really depends a lot on temperature and how you can manage them.
Yep, as you said, temperature is definitely a factor. It is so hot here. 45-degree track temperatures. Kamashov definitely has a look on Rositis, who is on a harder compound tyre and is falling back dramatically from those top three. So while they may be on softer tyres, and that may not help benefit their pit strategy, though, top three is just pulling away at a rapid pace. Kamashov, I'm sure, wants to clear Rositis and CCE Sports number 17 as quickly as he can. He has a look into turn 10. I'd be very brave.
Oh, and he goes wide.
And there you go. That is the move for people on Kamashov now. Going to try and chase down that lead pack. He's been held up by Rositis on the harder compound of tyres. Flying through the left-hander now. Agnes Rositis obviously trying to play the long game here today in terms of tyre strategy.
Getting chased by Aronov right now. He's catching up as well on the soft tires.
Aronov on the soft as well. I'm sure he'll make very little work. There's I think the bigger difference between the mediums and the softs than the mediums and the hard. So he'll be diving past them very soon. And the Rositis on wide again. I'm not sure if he just can't get these tyres up to temperature or even if they're overheating. And look, already moving over DRS wide open. Toby Sanford sets the fastest lap of the race with a 29.99. And there goes Aronov into... Oh no, contact! Contact between Rositis and Kamashov. I believe that was... There is Rositis. I know it was Thompson that he hit. So Thompson got past him as well. Into turn one. Rositis too late on the brakes. And down into P8. It's been a disaster starting for Agnes Rositis in a TCE sports car. Just falling backwards and then running into the back of Thompson. Oh, that's an absolute disaster for him there. Just not a good start at all, to put it lightly. Here's a moment in Q3. That gap between Sanford and Muradi has fallen down, but so is the gap between Sanford and Amorim. And the DRS is definitely coming into play here as well. Obviously, with the high fuel, all that extra drag reduction getting the straight really helps because you've got to transport more weight with you. Here's Toby Sanford in the Volpino Arctico car.
I think he's gonna have a good chance to pass right now. Half a second is quite a safe gap to try and go for an overtake into T1.
How his DRS is going to do maybe for the late time. Not sure if he's close up this time round. He plays and doesn't go for him. Maybe he's going to try and get the run out of P2. Again, just one of those big bobber there to stand out and bring on the pressure from Amorim behind. And again, look at that Amorim behind. He's going to have a look into turn 4. Besides, he isn't brave enough to do that, and I say right, because that would have been an accident in that scenario. Sanford now pulling away again from Morum, who aborted that move. And Sanford all over the back of the way. These top three absolutely locked into a battle, all on the softs, of course. The fact they're this close, again, I've already mentioned it before, I believe that was Sanford walking up there. This really matters when you pit, because these three are going to be fighting all race long, and if you pit at the wrong time, you're going to be left out on your backside. You follow them all around as they head up the hill again into turn 12 and 13. Sanford again looking at all of the back.
Closest he's been so far.
He's very, very close now. And Toby Sanford now. Looks like, and he's already looking for the move into the last corner. He's checking down the DRS now down the front red. It's a better exit. It's a better exit from Muradi, but Toby Sanford will have the DRS now. Look how close the pair are as they roar down the French. Toby Sanford whips out to the inside and takes the lead. Late braking by Moradi, but it can do nothing. And it looks like Moran's going to have a go as well. Giovanni Morin is going to take P2 as well. So Moradi's been absolutely left that way. Where's Sanford? Where's Sanford? Sanford spun out the first turn. Absolute disaster for Toby Sanford there in his debut race. He was running so well. He's just put the power down too early. Oh, he was off our screens. And that leaves Moradi now back in the lead. And Moran and P2 and Sanford all the way down to P5. Got to find all that time again. I'm sure those soft tyres are going to be absolute biscuits now. He's going to have no tread on those whatsoever. I'm really surprised to see him diving into the pits very, very quickly. Lock up from Aronov in front, who's also on the spot. You can see him sliding about all over the place. Absolute disaster there for Sanford. Really cool from there, going to take him the lead and then just getting too keen on the throttle. It's easily done. Oh, and he almost spins again. He does spin again. Oh, and it just keeps getting worse for Sanford. Those tyres are absolutely roasted. Now Moran. So he's got one less car to deal with, I suppose. Giovanni Moran. His teammate, his brother Bruno doing it down. And Sanford's gone off again. Oh, no.
I think the tyres are just, they've given up.
Tyres just, you know, when you run soft tyres, you do run these risks of overheating them. And that's exactly what's happened. Tony Sanford here, he's gone from P1 to P11. Oh, there's contact there! He was just down the way. He should not be front wing cameras on one of those two cars. Logistically, he's been having a dreadful race so far. I'll find himself involved with some more contact. This is an absolute disaster for the TCE sports man. On the run up to turn one, seems like Jackson seems to have gone okay. Sanford, I'm sure, yep, into the pit. Tony Sanford certainly to the box. Looks like I'm presuming to be on a very hard compound and taking on that last first strategy. And yet there he is in the pits. Oh, just a disaster for Toby Sanford. Now we come onto the soft.
Puts on the softs again. Interesting.
Oh, very, very keen.
Maybe he's added. Remember that you can add pressure between the stints. So as we see, Rositi's making a mistake again.
Again, Rositi's just not having a good race yet. Sanford into the soft again. Very interesting decision there on the Volcano Arc, the sole Volcano Arc man out on the grid today. Let's see what he can do with that. Maybe he's got a trick up his sleeve. We'll just have to see what happens. Moore now sets his sights firmly on Moradi. Into the final corner. Track temperature still on absolutely roasting 45 degrees. As they go on to lap 8 of 37 here at Bahrain. And Moore still too far back to make the move, but these two, now Sanford is down in P15. Looks like it's going to be a race to lap out unless the camera shop, who's still within fighting distance, because Andy is on a harder compound of tyres, so he can go longer. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. Is later in the race, camera shop obviously trying to play the longer game there. And Resistis as well. I would have said to keep an eye out for him, but those mediums just clearly are not working in the race. Blue Tools finds himself up in P7. Nice move down Jackson. TRS doing its thing. And Jackson, and Jackson's on there. Oh, it seems like it's not handled of far range today. Off Jackson. Again, another victim of turn 1. And the exit of turn 1 and the one in turn 2. The Rising Sun Racing, number 23 car, back down in P10. Here's Bruno Amorim, his brother, well up the grid in P2. Giovanni's having a great time on the podium places. Keys Williams having a look now on Carl's couch. He's at 5 there as they head into turn 2. Just look at how low Carlton Jackson is desperately trying to keep that car on the road. Obviously, once you've overheated the tread, that's it. Those soft tyres are done. You can't get this back. On the mediums and the hards, there's a spin there, and it's Resistis around again. Those mediums are not working for him. I'm not sure what's going through that man's mind. But he is, I'm sure it's not pleasant. The emotions he's feeling right now. He's really struggling on those mediums. Giovanni Amorim on the top. It would appear at the moment that if you can keep it on the road, as Amorim manages to catch a slide there, the softs are the tyres to be on. But if you make a slight mistake, that's it. You're falling out the running. You need to pit. So the soft tyres, you need to have the most innate confidence in your car and your most innate ability to get the road and resist is into the pits. Once you had enough of those hard compounds, I believe it is the C3 or the C4. Not quite sure. Obviously, there is 5 compounds available. The track temperature being so hot, the C5 is essentially going to
Stays out on the same tire.
must have been some wing repair then, perhaps. Maybe he was struggling with aero damage because that was a very, very, very quick pit stop. There was no way that was a tire change. Dalla Valle appears to have come into the pits as well because he was running reasonably well early on the back end of the top of the pack. He's now down in P15. Sanford managed to work his way up to P13 as a result of those pit stops. Jackson running in P10.
It is actually a tire change. The pit stops in this car are similar to the real life time. So we have a 2-second to 3-second pit stop for a change of tires.
A very rapid change by that crew then. Here's Kamishov in the Dimble Racing Ops, a new team here in Moorman as well. We are now starting on onto this conference again. It feels like it's actually stopped off hard cap. I'm not sure. We'll just have to see what Moradi does. He now controls the race, and Moorman can bang in some spanking laps. We'll just have to see what happens. Moorman was obviously bit first. He feels like the undercut is powerful here. We'll have to see what can happen. Keys Williams again struggling out the first turn. Really having a great race is Keys Williams, or Willems should I say, if I'm going to pronounce that correctly. And Stephen Hefner just driving around the outside. I believe that's Willems spinning out on the inside, and it is. He spins back round. Oh no! And he's taken up. Oh no! And I believe that was contact with Bruno Moore. Yes, it was. Trying to spin back round and Moore to do nothing there as there's just a car sat in the middle of the track at the exit of turn 4. I'm sure we're seeing Willems into the pits in a moment then to get rid of those soft tyres because they'll be baked as well. And Moradi is coming into the pits, so here we go. Kamashov will inherit the lead of this race. Let's see what tyres he goes onto. Very slow, 80 kilometers an hour main speed limit. Here's Giovanni Amorim. Let's see if he can get the undercut done. Looking at where he is on the track, I'm not entirely certain.
Seems to have had free air, clean air on his outlap, so he could do something with this.
Radney has had his pit stop though, I think. Where is he? Let's see. And Moradi is out of the pit, so it looks like Amorim. It's been not the right strategy as he falls further behind the stuff from Moradi.
Not the best of outlaps, probably some sort of mistake happening there. 5-second gap built up. Something must have happened.
Yeah, maybe he just had a bit of a tricky time on the way out of the pits. Maybe he had a half spin somewhere, got caught in some traffic that we didn't see. But the pendulum swings in Mustafa Moradi's favour as Kamishov leads the way in this race. But he is obviously running on a harder compound of tyres and still needs to pit.
Sanford's slowly been creeping back into the points. He's fairly close to 11th place now.
Yeah, Obi Sanford's displaying why he got second on the grid. Just consistently and quietly putting in those laps. And with all the pit stops as well, I'm sure we'll be seeing him into the hard compounds at his next stop, just trying to run as long as possible. He's gone from fighting for a win to fighting for points as Sanford, but I'm sure he can very much achieve those very, very quick driver, as we saw in the session before this. Keys Williams again gets overtaken. Another driver not having a great race here today at Bahrain in the Formula Trout Premier Series Challenger split. Heading through onto the penultimate corner now, turn 13. Let's see if we can get the DRS on Van. Oh, excuse me there, apologies. But yeah, let's see if he can get the DRS on Van Broekhaven. He does have a look down the outside as Van Broekhaven goes very defensive in the current Republic Koenigsegg car. He's on the top of the compound of tyres as well, and they are side by side onto the main straight. Willems is going to have the DRS, but he's not got the slipstream. He's going to have the outside line into turn 1 as well. Let's see what's going to be the late break here. And it looks like it's going to be Willems. Yes, it is. Nice move done by him there. Van Broekheden bounced off the inside curve and spins as well on the exit of turn 1. Another casualty of the turn 1 throttle. That promotes Toby Sanford back into the points on his quest back up the grid. And now we just have to dispatch of Willems, who's having a great race today, so I'm sure he'll make a fairly easy work with that. Sanford is a very much a competent wheel-to-wheel racer as well as a hot lapper. So there he is already up the inside. Easy as you like is Toby Sanford. Willems still the inside, just cuts across him. Super aggressive stuff. Locks up into turn 10. But that was as easy as you like for Toby Sanford back into P9 overall. It's been a very strong comeback already from Toby Sanford. He doesn't have to pit again onto a different compound of tyres, but with this pace he's displaying, I'm confident he can find his way back up the grid as we follow him around. Here's Giovanni Warren, and there's Mike Thompson coming into the pit plate in the Griffin Gaming red car. Hard on the brakes, in for what I presume will be a tyre change. And yep, back out again. He comes. Can't quite see what compound on. I believe that is the soft compound there. And he's only fallen into 6th place, so not bad at all. 7th place, should I say. So not bad at all. Sort of time just stops perfectly. Hepburn has only just squeezed ahead in the Koenigsegg car. And obviously Thompson on fresh softs will make pretty easy work of the Dutchman. And Max Junger is in the pits. That's our broadcaster. That's why.
Yeah, that's myself.
Just saw your name in
Sorry, mistake.
No worries, my friend. No worries. Mike Thompson still on his outlap as we just saw earlier. It's a 2-second gap to Hepburn, but I'm sure that gap will decrease pretty fast. Yeah, again, a nice camera angle on the way into turn 9 and 10. It's a big lockup from Hepburn there on the run into the downhill. It is extremely easy to do. It's a very counterintuitive corner. You go in and there's a car running off in the background. I believe that's Keys Willems again. He's just having a dreadful time here. And it's a very counterintuitive corner. You think you go in, you think I'm going to lock up here. I need to put the brake bias to the rear. Probably brake hard on the edge to the corner and then trail brake off. But actually, what you need to do is very wide there as Mustafa Morelli gets the fastest lap of the race. And what you need to do is actually put your brake bias forwards as Thompson looks to the inside and gets that move done.
Brave.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no! He's done. Thompson rounds. Oh no! Another victim. The Bahrain track temperature just catching out so many people here today.
Sanford making up places left, right, and center.
P8 for Toby Sanford. He is on an absolute charge. Thompson does have DRS though, so he's going to sneak back down the inside, but Sanford will have the DRS up into T4, but he still manages to remain ahead of the Griffin Gaming red driver in that Volpino Arcto number 40. And back on his conquest to get back up the grid. He's only 7/10 behind Jackson as well, Carter Jackson there, who's again not having a great race here. So I'm sure we'll make pretty easy work of him as well. Here's Mustafa Moradi, who's just set a new fastest lap. As he now all over the back of Semenyuk in the MP racing car. He'll have the DRS onto the main straight. It's very wide from Max Semenyuk out of bottom corner. Toby Sanford, wow, what a move from Toby Sanford. Locks up big time though. On the inside corner, has to on the gravel onto the brakes. That would have been spectacular if we had to hold it, but now he's going to fall back down into P9. Thompson gets the run. Toby Sanford saw the opportunity and went for it. It would have been spectacular had he managed to hold the position, but back down into P9. Mustafa Moradi has a look on the inside, gets the move done, easy as you like. On Max Semenyuk up into P3. And I'd say at this stage of the race, given his pace, he is very much controlling what goes on. Obviously, he's still got Aradov and Kamishov ahead of him, but they're both on the harder compound of tires. Here we are on lap 15. So yeah, Moradi very much in control of this race as it stands. Mike Thompson probably his nearest rival. Absolutely, we'll just have to see what happens. Thompson up into P6. Carter Jackson, or P5 should I say. Carter Jackson getting put back down as we see a bundle of cars coming to the pit. Sanford will be loving these two battling because it'll save as much time as possible. And oh no, that is Carter Jackson off again! Carter Jackson is having a nightmare of a race here in Bahrain. And another spin for the American driver. Just, I do sympathise with him. You know, it's incredibly easy. You know, when you spun once and you put your tires and you fall into this mentality, and it's so easy just to spin again and again and to lose focus. And, you know, you think I'm not spinning, it's all to spin. But it's just been an absolute nightmare race for Carter Jackson here at Bahrain. As we see Toby Sanford now has a very good run on Mike Thompson. Let's see if he can get anything out of the final corner. He's one within DRS range. Just needs to cross the activation point. He's smart here. Won't go for the dive into the penultimate corner, and does exactly that. Onto the brakes now. Just clips the curb. Here we go then. Mike Thompson already on the inside. Just trying to break the slipstream. Toby Sanford, I'm sure DRS wide open. Thompson trying to break that toe all the way down the straight. It's going to be close. Sanford pulls out to the outside. Can he get it on the brakes? No, I don't think he can, but can he get it on switchback perhaps? He tries the move. But no, he can't quite has it. Has to lift off, but he'll have the DRS up into turn 4. This is the P5 here. Mike Thompson still managing to hold the position, but he runs very wide in the exit. Toby Sanford actually has to lift off there. Not run into the back of Thompson. These two absolutely locked in a battle. Sanford again having a look into turn 8. This wide from Thompson again, and Sanford, oh, just too hard on the throttle again for Sanford. And that's the second time we've seen him do that this race, just getting way too keen on the throttle. And you know, these cars, you know, they have 1,000 horsepower. And it's just so easy to lose the wheel. Still within a second of Thompson, so it's not the all-too good of the original spin. Lap 17 here, but still got a decent chunk there to make it back up on Mike Thompson. It's been a great recovery drive so far from Sanford. He's got 10 seconds the car behind, 11 seconds really. You round that up. Still got to pit, but still, yeah, great recovery there.
Yeah, if I'm correct, at one point after he pit, he was 30 seconds behind points. So quite a recovery so far.
Yeah, very much. So only lap 17, and he's already looking like he might have my hands-wise drive of the day vote here in the Challenger split. Obviously, gonna touch wood and not hope I've said that too soon. As Mike Thompson gets a little bit wonky on the exit there. But, as I was mentioning a second ago, these cars well over 1,000 horsepower, so it is so easy just to lose the grid. Here's Dalla Valle, a driver who I expected to see much further up the grid than he is at the moment in P12. Into turn 1, around the outside, on a Morin, Bruno Morin that is. These two still side by side though on the run up to turn 2. Dalla Valle does have the DRS though and just breaks that inch later. Gets the move done around the outside. Nice. Oh, Morin though on the inside now. But I can't quite make it stick. Lovely move there from Gustavo Dalla Valle. Aronov into the pits. Muradi back into the lead of this race, and Semenyuk as well. I'll promote Kamushov back up to second, and Thompson up to P3. Presuming these two make it to the pit lane before those guys depart. Maybe not up to P3 goes Thompson. P4 though. You can call it P4. Toby Sanford again probably has DRS this time around, and he does. Only 4 tenths separate them. Let's see if he can get the move done this time. 4P5. Having a look, but decides to back out of it again. Again, just he's now running super cautious out of turn 1 on into turn 2. Just doesn't want to spin the car again.
It is a really difficult corner to get right on these old soft tires.
Yeah, you are right there, Maxi. It is a tricky corner, you know, and especially on the soft tires. And when you have a car that has this much power and weighs this little as well. And Sanford goes for the dive. It's an aggressive move by Sanford, but it looks like he has drawn side by side with Thompson. He might have to chop him again into turn 9, but no, Thompson's going to have the inside into turn 9. Sanford will have the switchback and the DRS though. Doesn't quite get the exit of the corner, and Thompson actually does have the DRS this time as well. So Sanford getting as close as he's been to that P5 position, apart from earlier when he was running the P2, obviously. But, yeah. Ooh.
He makes a mistake there, Mike Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson makes a mistake.
Quite a battle for P5 we have on our hands. Let's see what they can do for going into lap 20 of this race. I think we might have lost Ross. Toby Samford goes on the inside. Doesn't quite make it. Is he going to have a second look around the outside? Can he outbrake him? He gets the move done and cleanly. So up into P5 from last place at one point after those first few laps, that incident there that he had during the race. We see Jackson and Rositis battling for 8th place, I think this is. As Agnes Rositis making his way up after quite a few incidents himself.
Hello there, apologies, I am back. I've just had a very brief power cut in my house. I'm sorry about that. I am back here. Hopefully I've not missed too much. But yeah, back here. Yeah, here we are, back here at Bahrain. Around. Just gonna sorry, just boot up all my live timing and all that again. Again, apologies, just out of my hands that time. Sanford appears to have made it past Thompson while I was gone.
Yes, made a move into turn 1 quite cleanly. Into turn 3 actually, quite cleanly around the outside.
Oh, that's a very nice move there from Sanford by the sounds of things. Up into P5 is Toby Sanford. Great recovery drive from him after that spin early on lap. Here we are on lap 21. Thompson rather chasing him down now in this battle for P5, which seemingly never ends. Sanford though already it looks like he's got quite a large gap compared to the difference between Thompson and himself. Coming through the last corner now, Thompson again will have Wi-Fi. They now Wi-Fi, should I say? He's DRS. Don't know what went through my head there. Apologies. But Thompson, yeah, DRS again, not close enough though into the first corner. Sanford a lot tighter and a better exit out of it, but Thompson does appear to have closed the gap a little bit. Obviously that wide line just helps him carry that momentum through, and will have the DRS up into turn 4, but again, just not close enough to make the move is Thompson.
I think that DRS is keeping him within touching distance of Sanford. Toby hasn't really pulled away so far, so it's interesting.
Yeah, you may be right there. Obviously, Sanford almost seems stuck behind Thompson, and now he's gonna try and pull a gap. But Thompson, obviously, with that DRS, as you mentioned, very much gonna be trying to stay within that range just to try and get. Perhaps he's just gonna try and follow Sanford around, maybe try and catch up to the leading pack. 7 seconds separates Semenuk and Sanford in P4 and P5 respectively. As the Amorim brothers both come into the pits.
What's happened to Giovanni Amorim? He was fighting for the lead of this race at one point.
Yeah, he
We've
definitely
missed.
was. He wound up in P4 earlier, I believe, as a result of his pit stops. Just didn't play out for him. So obviously, the second stint on the softs coming to an end here. So I presume we'll be seeing Muradi come in shortly for a set of a harder compound.
Interesting that most of the grid is doing 2 stops. I really expected more 1 stops from people either trying to go from the medium to the hards or from the softs to the hards. Some sort of strategy like that, but we've seen almost none of that. We've seen mainly soft runners.
Yeah, it's almost exclusively been a 2-stop race. Obviously, the soft is a better race compound than we thought. It certainly lasted
Lotus
longer than we thought, despite
makes it
the
past, I
warm
think.
weather. Yeah, nice move there by Burton Lutels as we talk about tire compounds in the backgrounds on Rositis. Yeah, great move there. Nice and clean, easily done. Easy as you like. Into P7 goes Burton Lutels, 20 seconds, 20, almost 21 seconds. Separates himself and Thompson though, and Thompson has fallen back from Sanford. So looks like that gap is already opening. Yep, no DRS for Mike Thompson in P6 this time round. So looks like Toby Sanford is getting that gap, but he's been on those soft tyres a long time now, has Sanford. You know, obviously had that dreadful lap he spanned 3 or 4 times, then came in immediately for a fresh set of rubber, and has been on those tyres ever since about lap 7 or 8. So he's done a stellar job to keep it on the road and keep those tyres in check. Wouldn't be surprised if we see him diving into the pits soon. Stays out this time round. Onto lap 23, these two go, and Thompson again too far back to even have DRS this time, so it's really not going Mike Thompson's way at the moment. Heading into turn 1 now. Muradi still staying out as well, which is something to keep an eye on. Agnes Rositis he's another driver who's not had a very strong race as Lutels comes into the pits. He'll benefit from the free DRS there. Tried running on that harder compound early on in the race. It just did not work out for him at all. Just fell down the order, had a few spins, had a few crashes as well. So yeah, it's not been a good day for him.
Looking at it, I think the textures for the tires might not be correct, so we might not be seeing actually what tire everyone's running. Since I see Agnes Rositis is on the same compound he started on, apparently, which I don't know if that's particularly possible.
I know. Maybe we've got a problem on our end. Apologies if that is the case. But we're just saying what we can see. We're doing our best. We promise. As we see Mike Thompson desperately trying to chase down Sanford. He is now back within a second, so he will have the DRS on to the main straight. Obviously, perhaps that Sanford did make a mistake there. That gap again increasing out the final corner, so perhaps he won't have the DRS. And that is a big old gap between those two. That's the biggest we have seen it. Thompson does have the DRS, but it's not going to be good enough for him to even get close into the first corner, as Sanford gets a bit of a wobble on the entry. Coming round through turn 3 now. Thompson seeing his P5 hopes and dreams are fading away quickly. And the DRS really is the only thing that is keeping him really up there at the moment. Perhaps when he pits again, we will see some more pit stops from him, I'm sure. When he pits again, perhaps he'll find some inspired pace on the new compound, but we'll just have to see what happens. He's still in P6 at the moment. Toby Sanford in P5, a great recovery drive from him so far. About 13 laps left of this race, give or take. We just have to see what happens over the as we enter the final stages here. As Muradi still controlling this race in P1. Still needs to come in for the pits again though, and it's wide there from Mike Thompson. That's really not going to help his cause. As we see that delta increase further up into turn 13. Griffin Gaming red driver has had a pretty tricky last few laps behind Sanford, who was very happy just sitting there, and now he's pushing very hard, and I think he's starting to make a few mistakes here and there, which is causing that gap to just increase. Not going to get DRS this time. 1.3 seconds, the biggest. That's the biggest we've seen that gap all race long. Sanford, however, is also falling back from Semenyuk, so perhaps his tyres are going as well. So we'll just have to see what happens with these two in terms of strategy. Here we are on lap 25 now. I mean, if Sanford can get those tyres that far in, presuming we are seeing that he is on that compound, he can definitely get another set to the end of the race. So we'll just have to see what he can do. He's shown a very solid display in tyre management here, and just picking the right moments to pass. You know, he's made a few mistakes, which is expected, to be fair, in your first race in the series. Obviously, it's his debut event here in the Challenge Split, as with many other drivers. But he's put on a show for us here today, fighting for the lead early on. Nearly got pole position, had that dreadful lap where he spun 3 or 4 times, and now just climbing back up the order. Here he is in the 40 Volpino car. Giovanni Amorim into the pits, and his brother overtakes him. Bruno Amorim up to P14. Giovanni was running very strongly early on, so to see him that far down the grid is a bit of a problem. Who's that running very wide? That's Van Broekhaven, I believe. No, it wasn't. It was Steven Heppener who ran a bit wide out of turn 4. Looks like he's had a spin there, and that promotes Burton Lutels up into P11. So I'm sure the Griffin Gaming squad are absolutely loving the sight of that, with Carter Jackson in P8 as well. And Carter Jackson's had far from the best race, to see him so far up is great for him. Riding on board with Lutels now, chasing down Willems, who's again another driver who's not had a stellar race at all. He's had a few spins and offs. But as I mentioned earlier, this is obviously the debut race for many of these drivers. It's the first race of the season in the Challenger Split, so you know, there's going to be mistakes. People are just getting into the swing of things, so we'll just have to. I don't think we'll be seeing perhaps the true pace of everybody today. I think the next race will be when we really see the drivers stepping into their own light, as we see now. Lutels onto the straight. We'll have the DRS, but again, just not quite close enough. He's first got a bit of a lock up on the inside front. Close now to Keys Willems than he was before. He now heads up the back straight, or one of the back straights anyway. Braking into turn 4. Willems looking closer than before. Coming through, yeah, supremely fast middle section, braking for the hairpin now. As we continue to go around, I just went to obviously lap 27, lap 37, 10 laps left here in the Challenger Split. It's been a pretty eventful race for myself as well, with that mini power cut. And yeah, we've seen offs, crashes, comeback drives. Moradi just controlling everything. It's been a hell of a race from him, it must be said. So yeah, it's been very nice from him, as Lutels, we just saw there, did in fact move up, or try to move up into P11. Doesn't quite get the move done, but he's very close, and we'll have the DRS down the main straight, and I'm sure we'll be seeing him flick out to the inside very quickly. And there you are, inside line has had Dalla Valle ahead of them, locking up a bit. Keys Willems can do nothing as he falls back into P10. Could have been P11, luckily Carter Jackson came into the pits there. Keys Willems fighting back now, round the outside. No contact between the pair. This would be a great move if he can get it done. Keys Willems can't quite carry the momentum though, and Lutel's going to have to shut the door aggressively. Willems though might have the no, he doesn't have the momentum into turn 8. Let's see if he can get a good exit though into turn 10. Battle for P9 on at the moment. Willems again just running by the lines. Here's Carter Jackson on his way out of the pits. Overtaking. Oh no, and Carter Jackson spun! Oh no, another spin for Carter on his outlap as well. Was there contact between himself and Heppener? I didn't quite catch.
There was contact on the entry, just with Heppener. tagged his rear wheel and sent him round.
Disaster there again for Carter Jackson. Just obviously thought he had the, perhaps he thought he had the line and didn't. Just another instant for him, another spin on some fresh rubber as well. So that's really not what he wanted at this stage in the race. Here's Keys Vellum still in P10. Agnes Rositis in P7. It seems like those mediums are, or those hard tyres are finally starting to come good for him as he's climbing back up the order a bit. But it is also a 46-second gap to Mike Thompson, so there might have to be some pit stops ahead for him to have any hope of climbing higher. Bruno Amorim, another driver who we haven't seen much of today. His brother's been the focus of the attention, but he's back in the pits as well. I'm not sure what's happened with his race.
I think he's just stayed there. Yeah, he must have put it in and not come out again. Probably he retired the car. Because
there we are.
Constantly in that pit. Not,
yeah, well, there we are. Maybe looks like Giovanni Amorim has retired then, so I obviously have just missed that. But the man who was fighting for the lead earlier on out of this race, so really all is in Moradi's hands now. Now Bertine Lutels, who's been making some progress recently, chasing down Dalla Valle, and Carter Jackson around again, and he's back in the pits. He's retired. That is it for Carter Jackson out of this race. Oh, that's such a shame for him. He was you know, he was definitely spinning out a fair bunch, but yeah, what a shame for him. It is really sad to see that. It's always sad to see when a driver retires the car. But yeah, that's a big shame for Carter Jackson. On board now with Dalla Valle, a driver who I really would have expected to have seen more from today. I was pretty much told that he was one to keep an eye on. And he's running down a pit at the moment. It's been a fairly quiet performance from him today. With him in the Rising Sun car. But you know, it's still a very respectful P8. And especially in a race where we've seen cars flying off the track everywhere. He's managed to keep it in a very, very tidy race. We haven't seen any incident from him. Lutels is on a charge at him as well, so maybe seeing a move for P8 here in a minute, and runs wide as Dalla Valle. Oh, Dalla Valle, even should I say, apologies if I am mispronouncing any names. You know, I am trying my best to learn them for the future. Lutels, again, will have the DRS down the back straight. Bit of a wobble though, and here comes Keys Wilhelms, who's running with it 2 wheels off the track there to get round him. DRS wide open up into P9 from Keys Wilhelms. However, Lutels does have the inside line. It's going to be a oh no, and a spin for Lutels. Oh, and a half spin for Bertine Lutels again, just getting caught out on the throttle. When you're putting down 1,000 horsepower with a car that weighs about 650 kilos, that is it is often a recipe for disaster. He's just run out of traction, managed to keep it pointed roughly in the same direction. It's still P10. It seems like the luck's starting to go Willem's way. However, after all those spins early on, it seems like he's finally starting to get it in a good location. Let's see if he can do anything on Dalla Valle. Lutels back down into P10. Williams has a bit of a gap to make up, but there is only 6 laps left. I'm sure that's plenty of enough time, especially for Dalla Valle. His tyres are starting to go up a ghost. Sanford as well as another driver to keep an eye on. That gap between him and Semenyuk is beginning to close. The gap between himself and Thompson is beginning to open. Toby Sanford, who's already had a great recovery drive, I'm sure he'd love to make up another place. And here's Aronov in a P3, who's again another driver who's had actually a very, very quiet race. We've not seen much of him today, but he's done a great job to get up into P3. Kamashov obviously started on a harder compound of tyres and strategy in his way up there. Moradi, who's just dominated the entire race. Aronov, another driver who started on a harder compound, he's had I think we've hardly seen him today, but you know what they say in sports sometimes, if they don't notice you there, it means you're doing a good job. So that's clearly what's been going on with Aronov. Burton Lutels still in P10 after that spin. He's caught back up to Keys Willems already though. Lutels on and he's absolutely flying at this stage in a race.
Quite interesting. This battle for P8, they're all sort of converging on each other. Interesting track limits there from Dalla Valle.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that was quite legal, but we'll just let it slide for now. That's not my decision, it's the race steward. Keys Willems will have the DRS behind him, so does Lutels. Lutels a bit too far back to make this move, as is Keys Willems. We can get a great first turn as Dalla Valle has to run a very awkward entry, which will kill his momentum through the turn. Ooh! Dalla Valle grabbed the curb there, coming off of T3. That's really going to allow Willems to close the gap. Locks up into turn 4, managed to keep it off the back of Dalla Valle. And up into P8 goes Keys Willems for the time being. Does he hold the inside line? Yes, he does. Forces Dalla Valle out. That is removed on. Keys Willems up into P8. Dalla Valle still all on the back of the Lutels is probably looking at this and grinning, because it means they're both probably going to crash up in a minute, and he's going to have a free P8 and doesn't have to do any work for it. Let's see what happens into turn 10. Dalla Valle again having a look. He's clearly not too happy about that incident. Perhaps Willems actually did touch him just a little bit, and you can see got the DRS looking to the inside. Very aggressive move onto the brakes, locking up. He's got the inside line. Almost contact between the pair. Look at how close this racing is here at Bahrain. Lutels again looking at this and grinning. Dalla Valle runs really wide out of turn 11 and 12. That is Lutels up into P9. Dalla Valle left hung out to dry, just caught up with a dirty air, I think that was. And the Brazilian driver. Oh, that's just not what you want to see from the Brazilian driver, especially when he's expected to do so well today, and he's found himself all the way down to P10s. Points is points, I suppose, but no, you'd rather have 25 than 1, wouldn't you? Lutels having a look from that far back. I was going to say that's extremely keen of him if he thinks that's going to be an overtaking William. However, Willems gets a shocking exit. Seems to get the attraction down late stage though. And Lutels managed to massively close that gap. Only 4/10 separate the pair. Lutels is on a charge at the moment. He's very much the, I must say, also appears to be the fast driver on the track at the moment. Kamashov appears to have made a mistake as well further up the road in P2, because he's now 15 seconds back from Muradi, who's just in a class of his own at the moment. Sanford again, only 6 seconds separating himself and Semeniuk. It's all getting a bit tight here at the end, but the battle for P8 is the one that we are focusing on at the moment. Lutels and Willems neck and neck. Dalla Valle 6 seconds behind Lutels now. I think it's safe to say that he's P10, as that seems to be where we'll finish. Lutels running a much more aggressive line through there than Willems is, as they are on the run now into P13. T13 should I say, apologies. And Lutels, look at how close he is this time. 0.3 of a second, 0.2 of a second separate them. I think it's going to be a bit brave if he makes a move into the final corners. Chooses not to, but he will have a very good run in DRS onto the main straight, going onto lap 34. These two look already at the speed he's gaining, already pulling out. The move's already done, and they're not even near the braking boards. Burton Lutels into P8. That job is as done as it could be, an easy as you like move. Up into P8 goes Burton Lutels. Dalla Valle can do nothing. He's fallen even further back now. Perhaps he's had a spin and cooked his tyres. Willems though not giving up just yet, fighting back a bit. Has to correct a little slide from the car there, as he now just falls 5/10 behind. Here's Semeniuk in a P4. There's a battle for P3 going on as well. Only 7/10 separating these two. And while they're battling, Sanford's going to be approaching them all the time as well. So in the last lap, Sanford could very well be in this fight for P3. So that's something to keep your eye on as well. Wide line through there goes Semeniuk, and almost a half slide there. That's really not what you want to see this stage in the race.
Yeah, we'll just be suffering at this stage of the race. They should be on their last legs. So we're seeing a lot of drivers make these small mistakes, trying to stretch out the best they can on their stints.
We certainly are, Maxis. The back to 1.5 seconds is the gap. Was it? It says the fastest lap of the race. He's obviously gone onto the soft tyres very late. And well, it says it's on the hards, but I presume he's either just set a very good lap or he's just going to.
Our screen is a little bit wrong.
Apologies for that. Here's Dalla Valle, who's dropping in further back from Willems, and Willems still hanging with.
Burton Lutels. I think we might have lost Ross once again.
As much DRS as possible through there, and it's a Yeah, again, not close to Blues was also running very aggressive lines. I'm not sure if his tyres are perhaps in a better state as they come through onto these final few laps. And Sanford is only 3.5 seconds now between himself and Semenyuk. So that's that gap's gone down rapidly over the last few laps. So that's another one to keep your eye on as well. As I mentioned, oh no, there's Willems! Willems goes round almost. Kamashov nearly taking out Kamashov in the process, who goes to lap him. Oh, that could have been disaster for the second place man. Could have found himself again with damage, and Aronov is not too far behind, only 3 or 4 seconds. So that really could have spelled disaster for Dmitry Kamashov there. Here's Max Semenyuk in his battle for P3. Gap back down now to about 5/10 seconds. We'll have the DRS down this back straight. Aronov will be doing everything in his power to keep it behind him. There's only 2 laps to go for our leader, who's gone on to lap 36 or 7. And Semenyuk round the outside of Aronov. What's happened there?
He had a bit of a moment on the exit and just lost time.
Well, there you are, and that shows just how easy it is to lose it round here. Aronov down into P4, and there's Sanford. He's within fighting distance, 2 laps to go for these drivers. I reckon by the end of the next lap, he could very much be within a fighting chance of getting P4 here. So that'll be a great result for Sanford from all the way from last after his spin early on to P4. That'll be fantastic. As we right on through them here.
Aronov there. That's sort of interrupt. 133 from Aronov their last lap. So if he keeps up that pace, then Sanford will be on him by the end of this lap.
Yeah, remember, as I mentioned earlier, it is part of the mentality. When you have one spin, you find yourself having many, because your tyres are cooked and you fall into the mentality of just spinning and spinning, and you can't stop yourself. And it's just so hard to get yourself out of this hole of spins. As Sanford just look how consistent he is. He's super consistent through that section of the track. Here's Aronov in P4. 1.5 seconds now separating Sanford and Aronov. That is this is the battle that we're going to be focusing on, I believe, over the last lap of the race. Oh. Everyone's gone into the pits. Oh, this is rather bizarre, I must say. Well, it's not often that you hear the commentary team speechless, but we genuinely have no idea what's gone on here. It would appear that the servers crashed.
It would appear so. I think the session must have ended.
Yeah, the session maybe run out of time, or it would appear. I believe the session's run out of time. Actually, is what's happened.
That is quite.
Obviously, with the master split still needing to happen, or obviously there might be a time limit on the race, or a time when it just resets itself.
That's quite sudden. So
that is quite sudden. So that would appear to be your final order. Toby Sanford possibly robbed of a P4 there. That's bizarre. I've never seen something like that ever.
I think we've experienced some technical difficulties because it says leaders still on final lap. So. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to go with the current order that was set on the previous lap. So we have Moradi in P1, Kamashov P2, Semenyuk in P3, Aronov in P4, P5 for Sanford, possibly, as you said, robbed of his a few extra points. Thompson P6, Rositis in P7, Lotus P8. Williams P9 and Della Valle finishes in P10 for the last points paying positions.
Yeah, well, that's the strangest end to a sim race I've ever seen. Yeah, well, there you are. Thanks for coming to watch the Challenger split. Sorry we can't see any donuts or celebrations for any of the drivers, but yeah, that is. I'm genuinely quite lost for words. Actually, that's the most bizarre thing I think I've ever seen. As a commentator,
Yes, well,
wow.
Yeah, quite unusual for us to have technical difficulties, so I guess commentators cursed there.
Yeah, clearly. Wow, very bizarre indeed.
I am going to have to end the stream here. I am going to race in the Master Split next. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Max
Yeah,
Ross
good
is
luck,
going strong.
Maxi, and make sure you just hang around. The stream will end briefly. It'll be back up pretty quickly for the Master Split. So just hang around, and we'll be back with you shortly with the Master Split.
Okay, thank you.